There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies?
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
and the Promenade Merchants Association,
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Welcome back to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. We are back to discuss this week's episode, Blood Oath. For those of you who have not listened to us before, God knows how you found us now, but welcome to the insanity that is our show. Typically how this works is we will start off with a synopsis and then get the first impressions of some people who we are making watch this show for the very first time. Then we will switch over and hear from those of us who have watched this show many, many times, have a little discussion, and then we will throw all of our first-time viewers out and discuss all of their questions, predictions, conspiracy theories, or just how wrong they are when we go visit with the prophets. I am Blake, and with me is...
Chris.
Emily.
Prentice.
Mike.
Jessi.
And Christopher.
You almost made me do it. I almost did it just to spite you.
Again, we're professionals at this, we promise.
No, our professional's on vacation this week.
It's true.
The radio professional, everybody. I miss Scott saying that.
I believe, Mike, you have a synopsis for us on this one.
Yep. Here we go.
Buckle in.
This week on Deep Space Nine, 3 badass old Klingons roll up on DS9 looking for their 4th homie Curzon to go settle some unfinished business. They get a huge, sexy upgrade.
Not wrong.
Okay.
Do we know that for sure? Have we seen Curzon?
No, you got an upgrade. Fuck.
Yeah, you have a point, although they call him old man. So, I mean...
Episode 1, I believe it was. They had in one of Jadzia's
that's right.
In the wormhole.
You do actually.
Yeah, you do actually see Curzon.
I was just thinking, like, you see him in...
Careful.
Okay, it is kind of a spoiler. I'll shut up. Anyway, yes, you do see him in DS9, Blake. You're correct.
Don't pull a Kevin.
Damn it, Kevin.
I would never, unless I already have.
You have not yet. You've managed to stop yourself each time, so well done.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get some first impressions from those that we're making to watch this show for the first time and who absolutely love sci-fi, and start with Jessi.
Klingon AIDS. That's it. All I got. I don't know. It was fine.
You've got AIDS.
Klingon AIDS. Listen, don't be technical, Christopher. It's just the kids died of the Klingon AIDS. It's fine. God, I fucking give up. Is it next Sunday yet? It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I liked watching Jadzia be like a badass. Like, she was like, when they were doubting her, like trying to discredit her in the beginning, she's like, wasn't it you that did blah, blah, blah? And so she one by one ticked them all off. It was kind of cool. I liked it. I didn't hate it.
Nice.
Except the Klingon AIDS. Didn't enjoy that at all.
I didn't hate it from Jessi as like high praise on one of these.
That's true. Could be worse.
Chris, how about you?
So I liked it too, for different reasons. Thinking about the Make-A-Wish kids until Jessi brought up Klingon AIDS. But that's an interesting point of view. Like to know the thought process behind that as it came to while you were watching.
We don't ask Jessi for her thought processes. It doesn't end well for anybody.
Okay. We'll scratch that from the record.
It's so much more violent than thinking they died of like a cold virus. Like, fuck. God damn it. Moving on.
But yeah, I like the episode. I think the biggest reason why I like the episode was because I haven't felt like for a long time there have been substantial moral, what's the word I'm looking for? substantial moral implications with a decision that a character had to make, right? That could potentially profoundly impact that character after the decision was made, and then how other characters related to them after the decision was made. And I thought that was very well done in the writing of this episode, with Kira essentially being like, you don't want to do this. Like, I did it, and I did it a bunch, and I was never the same, with Cisco being like, essentially trying to pull rank and being like, I'm not going to let you do this. I can't let you do this. If you do this, like, you think you're just going to come back and everything's going to be like it was before, and all this kind of stuff. So I like that. I like there was gravity, there was weight to the decision to be made, and it did have me thinking, what should she do? Should Dax or Jadzia go along with the Klingons and fulfill the blood oath, or they gave her an out? Should she take the out, right? Because I think that was also the interesting part about it, was if she were not to do it, it wouldn't be a negative consequence with her very old friends and them saying, oh, you took a blood oath and now you're turning your back on us. Fuck you, bitch. It would have been like, hey, we gave you the out. We understand. Like, you ain't got to ride with this one. But she decided to stay 10 toes down and be a ride or die bitch. And she went and she got busy with her homies. I loved it. I thought it was dope that she decided to go through with it. I will say, I felt like the action sequences in this were very geriatric, if I can say that, if that's a good description for it. I felt like, from a DP point of view, or as director of photography point of view, but no, from a cinematography point of view, like, I felt like they should have pulled the Jason Bourne, shaky cam, get in close, do quick cuts. They could have done the fight scenes. Okay, that was a pure action movie reference. There was no insinuation there, Jessi. Yeah, I felt like they could have done the action scenes. They could have shot it better to kind of make it look more intense, more well performed. But overall, I liked the episode. I thought it was really good.
It was 1994, Chris. What do you expect?
Come on now. They were been doing dope fight choreography since the 70s, the kung fu movies, the action movies.
Not on this
the
show.
80s. Well, not on this show, right? But what I'm saying is, it existed. If the 80s showed us anything, it showed us that you could have great action scenes in action movies, whether it's martial arts or if it's just combat and fighting. You could do it well. They just didn't do it well in this episode, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I.
They were also old, so
The
they were
fighting
like
should be geriatric.
right.
Yeah, that's why I said it was geriatric action scenes, but I feel like they could have made them at least look like they were formidable Klingon warriors, instead of Grandpa Klingon over there who's trying to relive his glory days, dancing around in his basement with his grandson's toys.
Well, maybe that was the point. They were geriatric.
Right.
We lived in the old days. What are you talking about?
But if you're going to have an episode about 3 old school Klingon warriors who were masters, right? They were supposed to be the baddest of the bad, just over the hill. They could at least have showed them in action, displaying a hint of skill or ability.
Maybe
I didn't
the
see that.
flashback scene, but not now. They're like 80.
I'm gonna call you when you're 92 and see what you want to do.
Yeah, call me, Jessi. Video call me when I'm 92. I'm going to show you how I still get busy. I may not be like 43-year-old me now, but I'm going to be 92 getting busy. All right?
Christopher, let's get your first impressions.
But I did think that this was a good episode, and we've seen a string of good episodes from the series. So the quality seems to be really improving. I did like how Dax stood out again. It was nice to get to know her backstory a little bit more, and why she has been so infatuated about Klingon culture. Like, you see her singing Klingon opera and always going to the Klingon Korean barbecue on the station. So it's good to get that little backstory about why she is so invested in Klingon culture.
What Korean barbecue are you going to? I've been to a few and I've never seen anything fall off my fucking plate.
Well, I've been to one in Louisiana, and I have.
That's an entirely different issue there.
But also, I want to say to anyone who may be listening who can't figure it out, if you see a friend for the first time in a long, long time and they are presenting differently and going by a different name, you greet them just like the Klingons greeted Dax and said, Dax, my friend. And try not to inappropriately kiss her.
SA is okay, but misgendering someone is not, kids. It's fine.
There's actually a meme out on Facebook, and I've blocked it from our group a couple times because I knew this episode was coming. But it basically says, if the Klingons can get it, so can you.
Yeah, it's not that hard, Mega. Figure it the fuck out. Anyways, that's my first impression.
So, Prentice, I think you might have some thoughts after hearing some of these first impressions.
Listen, great episode. I definitely like the way in which Kira brought up the idea of killing and what it's done to her. She heard her friends speak about it kind of wistfully, and she said, no, listen, it takes a bit of you with it. And just bringing weight to that moment, I thought she did an excellent job with just a few lines trying to bring the weight of that. I thought it was really cool that I didn't realize upon the first watch, these three Klingons are from the original series. I had no idea. All these years later, I'm like, I had no idea these guys are from the original series, and I put it all together this time around. So that was a treat. This was a great world-building episode for Klingons in Star Trek. We did it here and there in TNG, but this episode was really great. Just showing the culture and giving it a little bit more weight. So overall, I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was well acted, and I thought it was a real, like Chris said, moral dilemma. So for me, I thought it was a great episode.
And Prentice, you mentioned it, the Klingons from this were from the original series, but not from one episode. So they actually pulled one from each of the 3 seasons of TOS. So you had Kor, who was from Errand of Mercy in season 1. You had Koloth, who was from Trouble with Tribbles in season 2. And Kang, who was Day of the Dove from season 3. So you had all 3 of them, and the original actors also back to play these characters.
Is this the one that we just watched with the hot William Shatner?
No.
Is that not the original one?
That's the original series.
But not one of these episodes.
No. Sorry.
Yes, we had you watch the original series with hot William Shatner.
Yes.
Although we probably are going to have you watch another episode of the original series that does feature one of these guys.
You will be watching one of these episodes in the future.
Spoiler alert. Shit.
Because we know how much you love watching the original series, Jessi.
It wasn't bad. We haven't recorded it yet, so you will find out on Tuesday.
Perfect. Emily, any first impressions from you? You usually have thoughts and feels on some of these.
I do. It's a Klingon episode, so what's not to love? I love a Klingon episode. They're either blowing shit up, attacking someone, being Klingons. And I do appreciate that there was like actual kind of high stakes for this episode. It wasn't just kind of fluff, like there's some actual heaviness to it. And I find it interesting that 2 of the really heavy conversations weren't with the Klingons. It was Jessi and Kira. She was talking about what's the killing somebody and what that does. And then even her conversation with Sisko and risking her position at Starfleet and showing it also gives us a better idea of how the Dax symbiont and the previous hosts have like integrated into her personality, and how, yes, it was important to Curzon, and it's like the respect she has for him and the symbiont. These weren't just, oh, we liked it, like we like pineapple on pizza, so I'm gonna eat that. Like these were really rooted conviction feeling, and she maintained them and respected them, even if it may not have been action she would take in otherwise. So, no, I love it. I love the...
Mike?
Yeah, it's not going to come as a surprise. Like, I love this episode. I think it is probably one of my favorite in DS9. It's got a lot of just great stuff going on that, unfortunately, the great stuff doesn't really involve Quark or Odo, because I thought they were both really kind of weird acting in this, and they focused entirely too much on Odo doing his smug, arms crossed, eye rolling face. But besides that, the whole story with Dax and the Klingons is just beautiful. It's really well executed. It's really well thought out. Like, and it gives the Klingons, you get a lot of other good looks at the Klingon culture later on, but I think there are also a lot of episodes where anytime you see them, they're really one-dimensional, and you're like, how do these guys like tie their shoes, let alone pose an intergalactic threat to anybody? And that was not the case in this one, and I love that, because you really got a taste of their culture and the fact that there's more to them than just these bloodthirsty cavemen. It's a good lore episode for Dax, because she desperately needs it. She's one of the more interesting characters on the show. besides that, you also had those really wonderful moments you guys already talked about, like really heavy, deep scenes with, especially between Jadzia and Cisco was one of my favorites. The one with Kira was also really good, also a little weird because I couldn't help but trying to picture myself like showing up to work one day and being like, "Yo, Tyler, what? You ever kill anybody? Like, what's it like?"
Like a stranger or just like your best friend? Did you kill your best friend?
He's like, "Oh, you thinking about it? You have a bad meeting?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
to be honest, we've all had that one coworker that if we
mean,
needed to ask that question.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
100%. Tyler would help me bury somebody. But no, it had this episode just had a lot of great moments, a lot of great gravity to it. Fantastic acting across the board with the three main guest stars and even the fourth guest star who, played the albino in the end. I think he was a good antagonist in the whole thing. So like just an awesome episode. I really liked it.
I agree. This is probably one of my favorite episodes in DS9, especially early DS9. And for me, this is really kind of where a turning point starts with the series, and it really starts just getting good. And I especially like this. The original concept of this episode was going to be new characters that they introduced. And somewhere along the way, they had the idea to go back to the original series and bring these three characters forward to Deep Space Nine. And they brought back John Colicos, they brought back Michael and Sarah, William Campbell to reprise these roles. And all three of them said it was an absolute blast to do this. And they enjoyed doing it and picking these characters back up with the writing of this episode. So I think it shows a commitment, one, that the writers had to bringing characters in and continuing that story, but doing it in a way that really worked with Deep Space Nine. And we've mentioned it before with the morality plays that this show gets into, and that conversation with Dax and Kira about what Kira did during the occupation, and did she kill somebody, and what was it like, and that was a very powerful conversation. Honestly, I don't think I can recall any conversation or anything like that from Next Gen that kind of hit that same way with the way. I mean, Next Gen had some of those deep moments, but I don't think it had one that kind of hit in the same way as what that conversation with Dax and Kira, where it was that conversation of, you have done this, you have killed people, what was this like? And I think that was kind of new territory for Star Trek in this one, and it landed pretty well. I know the conversation came up last week with our episode around wondering what Michael Piller and Ira Stephen Bear's background were, because the way they talk about terrorism and everything. And I tried to do a dive on that and couldn't really find anything other than what some people have said is Ira Stephen Bear is just a hell of a writer and knows how to go out and source concept and source story and bring writers together who can tell that story and tell that narrative. So I didn't find anything that necessarily like answered and said, yes, these two have had experience here or been involved in that. But the writing caliber, the story that they brought into this just is phenomenal. So let's go ahead and dive into our discussion. And Chris, what have you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying, Blake, and Mike, I think you mentioned it too, about the writing of this episode. I thought it was great. And one thing that I really liked that they did was the albino only had, I don't know what, 5, maybe 8 minutes of screen time. Didn't have a lot of screen time at all in this episode, but they wrote the character, or the lore of the character, I guess you can say, so well in a way that just the mentions of the albino Klingon throughout the episode and what they did and the actions that they committed and how that affected the main characters and then the guest stars on the show. And then the repercussions or the consequences of those decisions that they made in taking that blood oath and how that kind of just set everything in motion. I felt like all of that really built up the villain, the antagonist in this episode, with very little screen time, which is hard to do. A lot of times an audience needs to see the character, they need to see the villain in action in order for them to really buy into why they're the bad guy, right? Why they need to be defeated. And that wasn't the case in this episode. It was all done through prose, and it was done through memories or recitation of past events. And they did it in an effective way to the point where I didn't see the albino Klingon yet, but I was like, yeah, this cat needs to die. like he's got to go. It made me want to root for the Klingons and for Jadzia even more. And then when he did get on the screen, side note, I just showed my two old, well, actually all my girls, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves last night. And I was telling her, I was like, that's Professor Snape, because that's how they know Alan Rickman, right? But I was telling my wife after we watched it, I was like, I remember him being great, but that was like, in my opinion, one of the greatest villain performances in cinematic history was the Sheriff of Nottingham, Alan Rickman. And Albino Klingon was kind of giving me similar vibes. It was like when he was on the screen, he was on the screen. And his character was very strong. And the actor who played that character, I don't know who it was, but I thought they did a great job. And just those 5 or 8 minutes or whatever it was, really fulfilling that build up, right? Like he met the expectation that they had built throughout the episode of telling all the heinous things he did and why he needed to go down. When we saw him on screen and we heard him talk, he delivered. And so I just really, really enjoyed that part of the episode.
It reminded me very much of Kill Bill.
Yeah. All the build up and then you finally get to see Bill.
At the very end. Yep.
Now, Chris, my question is, you've now shown your daughters Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. When are you showing them Robin Hood Men in Tights?
I was wondering the same thing.
yeah, we gotta do Robin Hood Men in Tights for sure.
The more historically accurate of the two movies.
Well, unlike some Robin Hoods, that one speaks with an English accent.
Right. I felt like Christian Slater was kind of trying to at certain points in the film. Kevin Costner just didn't give a shit. He was like, I ain't doing no English accent. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's on the agenda.
Perfect. Jessi.
So I get that he's like the bad guy, but can we call him something other than the albino? It's a little offensive. Like maybe Jake. Like what's his name? He's got a name.
No, that's
Jake.
That's
the
Jake.
name.
Jake the Klingon. His mom did not name him the albino. Stop it.
He wasn't. Was he or was he not a Klingon?
He was not a Klingon.
No, I didn't think so either.
He wasn't a Klingon? Okay,
and I was honestly confused. Being a Trekkie, like I'm not sure what he was supposed to be, but it was at the point when he himself said, "We got to keep those filthy Klingons out." I'm like, whoa, whoa, now, like he wouldn't be talking about his own people that way. I don't think.
So all jokey jokes aside, having a goddaughter myself, I'm just curious who would have done it. Like I would have gone. I know I would have I would like to think that I would have. But like I was watching it and I was like, man, she's going to ruin her whole career. And then I thought if somebody did something to my goddaughter like Klingon AIDS, I'd probably ride out too. So I'm just curious, everybody here, if anybody would have not gone. Christopher, I'm looking at you. I'm going to guess that you would be the one that wouldn't go.
Well, Christopher, since you've been called out, here to answer Jessi's question?
Let's see. Would I go on a blood oath?
Would you get on the bus, Christopher?
Would I get on the bus? Yeah, I'd probably get on the bus, but I think I'd get on the bus in the same way that I think Dax was trying to get on the bus. That I think she kind of figured it out a little bit early on, that these guys are old men and they were talking a lot. I mean, there was a lot of talk about aging and death in this episode. And, I think Dax figured it out that they're just trying to die with dignity, right? And so this mission for them was almost kind of like a suicide mission. Like they knew that they were going to die, but they were going to die in glorious battle, and it was going to be honorable for them. And that was something in the Klingon culture was the way to go. You die a hero, and that's the only good way to die, right? And so I think she saw it pretty early on when they were in the holosuite and they were practicing before the mission went off, and they're not the same as they used to be. And I think that's what was going on there. I think she was probably she was ready to kill if she had to, but I think she knew what the outcome of this was going to be.
Jessi.
I don't know if she was ready, because when it came down to it, she froze, right? So fight or flight or freeze, like she froze. And I also have the question of like, is it still honorable if it's basically suicide? Like they were going in knowing they were going to die. Is that still as honorable as dying in a battle? Like if you don't accomplish your goal, are you still dying with honor? I don't know. It's because the guy...
It's the little league mentality. It's like, yeah, you're going to get creamed, but you're going to go out there and give it your best try. And that's what really counts.
And the battle has a purpose. So even if they
Yeah.
don't succeed, they fought for their purpose.
It had a purpose, but if your goal doesn't get accomplished, like if you still lose the war, what
As long as
I
you
mean,
tried.
It's better than not showing up and not fighting, I get.
participation awards for everyone here.
Yes, it's a Klingon participation award. They tried. But I mean, in some ways, I think it's kind of like you get these people that they won't take their own life, but they'll go out and commit suicide by cop because they can rationalize it in their head that they're not killing themselves. And I think it's kind of that same thing. They would still rationalize it as an honorable end, even though it more or less amounts to suicide.
Even though they got the L.
Yeah. Emily.
I didn't interpret Jedzia's not taking out the albino as her freezing. She saw who was behind him. I think she was allowing him the chance to get that last shot in because this was their final battle. They knew it, she knew it, and she went along to make sure they got to that point. Like she was the one like, hey, if we take out the weapons, then you guys
Right.
can make it inside, and like setting up the strategic stuff to get them in there to give them the opportunity. And I really saw her not taking that easy shot basically because
You think she would have done it though? If he wouldn't have, if he was dead?
I think she might have. I don't think it would have been easy for her, but when it comes down to it, it would have been her or him because he would have taken her out. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I think at that point, she would have been defending herself.
Right. So it would have been easier to make the call.
Right.
I mean, does she lose her job then at that point too? Sorry, there's just a lot of things about this show that I was like,
There are a lot of
No, I
questions
don't know.
about
There
what
still
happens.
aren't going to be like repercussions for her because she disobeyed Cisco.
it's season 1, Christopher. It's fine. She'll be fine.
Well, I think part of her, and I don't necessarily want to call it hesitation, but part of that pause that she had was, I think she had that conversation with Cisco in her head
Yeah.
of, you took an oath also, and I think she was trying to balance out which of the two, do you kill the guy as he stands there? Because he made that comment, are you going to sit there and kill me in cold blood? Because I think he threw his weapon down.
He did.
It's not
It's
cold
like,
blood.
are you going to kill
you
me
killed
in
my
cold blood?
godchild.
So then she's got that conundrum in her head of, you've got Cisco saying you took an oath to Starfleet, and that's not how we do this. When the guy's in front of her with a weapon about to swing it down on her, it's a different scenario than when he's standing there in front of her unarmed. So I think that was, in my mind, why she had that moment of
He was
of
armed
waiting.
with 3 child bodies. Like, listen, that wasn't cold blood. That was decades, 8 decades of fucking pure fucking vengeance. Like, I don't know if that would have been considered cold blood in my, like, she wasn't doing it just for fun. She would have done it to avenge her godson.
I think a big point of this, right, is that we're not sure whether she would have done it or
Sure.
not.
Sure.
And I think that was the really poignant part about that final scene when she walks back into ops to resume her normal job, and like they have a
Hopped
lot
in
of
the chair.
awkward eye contact with her coworkers. like we don't know at that point whether they know that she did it or didn't do it,
Yeah.
or how do you look at somebody the same way again after that? So I think that was kind of the idea. It was meant to be left a bit ambiguous, and for the money, I mean, I think we've already seen that Jadzia, with Dax in her belly, has pretty strong resolve about some stuff. I mean,
Right.
almost throwing her career away earlier in the series based on something that Curzon, her old buddy Curzon, old bad influence Curzon, did to her. So personally, I think she definitely had that dog in her and could have done it if the other guy, if Kang had died. I think she would have probably followed through, but we don't really know. Yeah.
Chris?
I think that this conversation, like, and I mentioned the moral implications of the decisions that the characters made before. I think it's so interesting because you think about it, she comes back, and like Mike was saying, she comes back on the bridge and they're all looking at her like, oh, there goes that fucking murderer. But yet Kira's walking around with double-digit bodies on her resume, and nobody looks at her that way. So it's interesting. That's interesting, one to me. And then two, it also brings up the moral question of, if something happens, in this instance, Jake goes off and gives Klingon aids to the 3 children, does that immediately mark him for death? And does any action that someone takes against him to bring about that death, is it immediately justified? Or are we going through what we consider to be, I guess, normal law and reason and saying any wrong act is wrong in and of itself. And it doesn't matter what your reasons are behind it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. In this instance, it's almost like in Blood Oath, they're saying, no, if you do something, you got to face the consequences of your action. If that means that you got to die, you got to die. And that death, however you get it, is justified. So it's just interesting to see the juxtaposition between the Klingon morals and the way that they live their world, live in their world, and how they view things. And then Starfleet, I guess you can say, because it's not just human, right? Starfleet's ethics and how they view law and order and how they view things. And Jadzia being stuck in the middle of that. I personally side with her. I think she made the right moves and the right calls throughout the episode. To Jesse's question, if somebody did anything to my kids, I'm driving the bus. I'm not getting on the bus. I'm driving the fucking bus.
I'm rounding everybody up.
I mean, you can come with me or not, but this bus is taking off when I'm ready to go because I'm going to handle this, right? Like, so but I think the moral ethical question is very interesting to me because it's like, what do you do? And in my mind, at the end of the episode, I was kind of looking sideways at the Starfleet crew, like, get the fuck out of here, man. You're going to be side-eyeing Jadzia for doing what she did? Right? What? Like, nah. So, but again, very interesting because I can see where they're coming from, but it's just not the side of the fence that I'm standing on.
Right.
Well, and I'll say this, it's a dense episode, so I get why they didn't spend more time on it, but they did address the fact that you're actually straddling two different legal systems here, right? You're straddling the legal system that applies to Jadzia as a member of the Federation, and then the one she pointed out, which was this dude totally deserves death by Klingon law. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually 100% sanctioned and legal according to my three homies. And, it's a little bit weird because she's on the outside of that somewhat, but it also sounds like she's spiritually very much on the inside of it. And I don't want to give any more spoilers away, but we'll just say it was more complicated. And they did kind of address the fact that it's not just one legal system that matters in this, whether it's also like morally the right or wrong thing. They did address that notion.
Which, not that any of us are lawyers and qualified to give legal advice, but just to throw out there, because my three homies said so is probably not a legal doctrine any of our listeners should follow. I just want to make that very clear.
Unless any of our listeners are Klingons.
Is the Dahar master, so it's okay, right?
Jessi, you're up.
So at the end, when Kira was looking over and she sits down and she looks at her, my brain went, "You snitch ass bitch! Like, stop snitching on people! Like, you shouldn't have. Kira shouldn't have told you." And I'm like, "Oh, she's about to get it!" Like, and when she sat down, she kind of side-eyed her, and I'd have been like, "You better watch who you turn your eyeballs at, ma'am." Like, she just almost cut off Jake the albino's head, and I don't like it. Like, don't look at her like that.
I'm a killer
but she
now.
did exactly
You better
what
not look at me like that.
We're supposed to do, right? We've had
Christopher's a snitch
issues.
too. So let's put it out there. Christopher would snitch on me, and I know it.
We have had issues with Kira following, is she able to follow the orders from the Federation right before? And this shows that she can. And when somebody in your chain of command is like, I'm gonna go kill somebody, I'm gonna go be a vigilante with my three Klingon friends,
But is it? So here's the question: was it she was following orders as in the Starfleet chain of command with that, or was it this is my friend? I'm seriously worried about what she's about to get into.
Nope.
And I don't think she's prepared to handle this. Because I think there are other characters on this show that if they would have went up to Kira and said, "Hey, I want to go shank this bitch," Kira probably would have helped him do it.
True.
Because let's switch up.
Yeah.
Say O'Brien goes and has this conversation with Kira. Kira's going to say, "Sure, when do we leave?"
I don't know. O'Brien seems like a little bitch too. Stop it. Look, I think Dax is way more of a badass than O'Brien is.
But you get what I'm saying, is if that conversation was different, Kira would have probably said, "Let me help."
Yeah, I can see that.
She's like, I'll step on my quarters and get a shovel.
Yeah.
Get your Irish ass down. What are we talking about here? No.
What Jessie's saying is that it doesn't matter who it is, what's happening. A snitch is a snitch. Like you sound like the Joker right now in The Dark Knight. I know a squirrel when I see one.
No, but all it said to me was like, okay, so we just talked about, Mike just said we all have that one coworker, right? And The one that would bury a body for you. Kira's not that body. Like, Kira's not that coworker. Like, I'm not, if you go and rat me out because I'm going to go kill Jake the albino, we're done. Like, I'm never going to tell you anything again because you're not that coworker for me. I'm going to go find fucking Cork. Cork will fucking kill somebody with me. And he's
As
not
long
going
as
to
he can
tattle
make
on
a
me.
profit.
I mean, here's a couple bars of Latinum. Cork, shut your fucking mouth. My dad used to say snitches get stitches. So I'm just saying, that's not a thing. Snakes. Yep. We're moving on.
Well, please, we really wanted to hear where you were going with that,
No.
Jessi.
Abort.
Emily.
Since we were talking about the legal systems and the conflicts there, I mean, at least she tried to get approved leave of absence to go do it, so she wasn't doing it on Starfleet time, right? Like,
I mean, would that fall under FMLA? And I mean, would it fall under Family and Medical Leave
right,
Act? Or
right? Because look, I got these
you
3
use here?
geriatric Klingons trying to commit fucking suicide. Someone needs to monitor them. It's really just babysitting, okay? I'm not out to kill anyone. I'm babysitting some suicidal
Can you
Klingons.
imagine the next time she needs to ask for PTO and it goes across Cisco's desk? He's gonna be like,
Permanently
Who you
denied.
killing this time?
Yeah. So I mean, she abides by
This
some
is
of the
this
rules
is why
at
they
least,
ask
right?
you who you're going with on leave. They want to know who your buddies that you're going with.
Who asked that?
Are
No,
on.
you don't ask me that.
In the military, Christopher, you
Yeah,
saying?
in the military they do.
Oh, well, because you guys can't be trusted.
I
That's
mean,
why.
Yeah, no.
Because say when you
That's
go through
funny.
customs, they want to know where you're going.
Yeah. Well, that's true. We know what happens in the Navy, Christopher. I've watched documentaries. I've seen.
I was in one of those documentaries.
I bet you were. I thought I saw you. I was like, ooh, I know that guy. He's a
Is that
snitch.
But
Is that the
Christopher,
one
I
that-
think you were in a very different documentary than the ones Jessi is probably watching.
That the one with Tom Arnold and French Stewart? Never mind.
You know.
It's a
Mine
great
are on
fucking
the
movie.
hub.
Anyway.
Just mind your business, Christopher.
That's interesting, though, Emily. I didn't even think about that. Like, she definitely officially requested PTO to go murder Jake the albino.
Look, she was just babysitting the geriatric Klingons, right? But
They
okay.
just called him Jake the albino.
I mean, I'm sure we have all requested PTO at some point or another to do something that our employers certainly would not approve of.
And now I think it's even funnier. They're like, yo, we need you to go kill this albino with us. And she's like, shit, man, I'm out of PTO.
I gotta call
It doesn't reset until the 11th. Like,
Can we do
Well,
this in the
then
new
what they do
year?
is they send the email out station-wide asking people to donate leave time to help cover the absence.
She's got to find a back. Can you cover me? I got to go off world to go kill Jake the albino with my 3 homies. Oh, that was great, Emily. That was a great observation. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either.
I do what I can.
And Cisco coming in, PTO denied. Request for leave denied. Like,
Okay.
oh man.
Anything else on this episode?
Yes.
Got her hand up.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought she was already done.
No, I
ahead,
actually
Emily.
have a valid point. It's what Chris brought up about the fight scene, because when they were talking about their plane, they were talking about how skilled the men protecting the albino are. And yeah, the fight scenes, I get it. They're aging Klingons. But even still, come on. That's just
Yes.
disrespectful to their position and who they were as warriors. That even these highly skilled guards were like, were you though?
Yeah.
Like, really, what were you training on? A Wii? Like, what?
Wow.
Where were you training? Because this is not high quality defense here.
Their outfits.
They did mention they were like 100 and 150 years old, didn't they?
No, I
Like-
meant the guards around the albino. Like, they were like, seriously, guys, come on, you are not that highly skilled. Are you just like highly skilled on computer? Because your fighting is not
but were they
there.
trained to use energy weapons and just shoot people versus when they were told strap a bayonet on that damn thing and
Yeah.
don't
Like I
with
said,
hand.
they
We-
learned combat on a Wii. Okay,
We've
that's
all
where they
lied on
learned
a
it.
resume.
It's like a little. It
For
did
yourself,
actually
Mike.
feel insulting for like who the Klingons were and their history, and just as Klingons in general. The fight
Mhm.
scenes did feel very disrespectful.
Well, the guards were straight out of fucking Spaceballs, We're assholes, sir. like, like all look like it.
Hey, at least they didn't
You're
capture
not
their
wrong.
footballs. Christopher, save us.
I don't know if I can.
He can't.
Right, damn it.
So I did like in this episode how we got to know a little bit more about how the trill works. Because at one point they're asking if they can fly through or engineer something, and they're like, you can't do that. And she's like, Curzon couldn't, but Jadzia can because I'm a science officer. Lucky for you, right? And seeing that how they even treat her as a separate person, right? Curzon took the blood oath. We know that you still retain his memory and everything. You don't have to do this. I think they even said like under Trill law, you are not obligated to fill this oath with us. And so I enjoyed like getting to see how they interact with like the different Trills in their different form, like in their different hosts. And that was interesting for me to see.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think, like you mentioned, the blood oath as though it's like a legal thing, and I don't think a blood oath is a legal thing at all, and I don't think you meant that either. But it is true what they said, and I thought it was actually like a very enlightened attitude of the Klingons to have, to like recognize that as a Trill, Jadzia is her own deal. She's not Curzon, and they weren't going to hold her to this like sacred vow of revenge. They were like, all right, look, like we get it. This is going to fuck up your whole life if we make you go through with this, and you really have no business being there because you're not that guy. And so I thought that was actually, like I said, like kind of an enlightened attitude for them to have, and one of those things where I respect this episode because it shows us that side of the Klingons that I think certain other episodes throughout TNG and TOS like would not have done.
And through that, you also kind of got to see how Jadzia struggles with it. Maybe struggle isn't the right word, but how like that pull of the symbiont and those previous lives and memories, how that affects her as Jadzia, right? It's been mentioned like a few times where she has the relationship with Cisco and everything, and she says, you remember when we did this, but we haven't really seen like anything where it has like real stakes. And to see that everybody seems to be able to separate it, but it is hard for the new host to separate it. It was interesting.
Any other thoughts on this episode, or do we want to jump into our questions and predictions? Seeing nobody jumping up with more discussion, let's go ahead and grab any questions and predictions our new folks have, and let's start with Christopher.
So is Dax's past going to matter more as we move forward? And are we going to get to see more of her time as Curzon and the Klingons?
Chris.
I'm interested to see how the crew is going to relate to Jadzia going forward. Are they going to continue to give her the side eye and treat her like she's friggin' Jeffrey Dahmer, or are they going to come to some kind of understanding, just kind of let bygones be bygones, whatever? I think that's my biggest question. How's the crew and everybody going to react to this? Will it have a long-lasting effect, or is it just going to be siloed to this episode?
Better not be. Like, how are you going to be Kira, who says I've killed too many people, and then judge somebody else? Like,
I agree.
Be a judgy snitch. Huh?
I agree. I don't think she should be a judgy snitch either.
Right. My question is, does Kira get that ass whooped? Like, that's my question. I want to see a girl fight.
You want to see Jadzia put hands on her?
Rated E for everyone.
And Jessi, are you wanting that to take place in like a Jello pool or something when they have that fight? Or
Quark will take bets on that and make a killing.
I think Jadzia is feisty. Like, she's pretty, but I think she's probably, it could go one of two ways. She's either too pretty to fight and never has, or she's a fucking asshole and she will rip your eyeballs out of your head.
She got several lifetimes of experience.
Right.
Jadzia does have one of those faces that I could see on one of those social media accounts, like the beautiful mugshot social media accounts.
Yes.
Like you see, like she's got.
You follow a lot of those, do you?
I'm gonna have to send you one. I just saw one.
I can save them, Mike.
I just saw one about a waitress that had
For the
a
next season of Love After Lockup.
2-hour table and they didn't tip her. So she brought one of those whole like busser bins full of water and dishes and like dumped it on them and said, "Fuck you people, go home and roll your night." She was gorgeous. I was like, she about to get a modeling career out of this one.
Hey, man.
On that note, I think that wraps up our discussion of Blood Oath.
Thank
We
God.
will be back next week where we will discuss part 1 and 2 of the Maquis. We also have all of our social media links down below, so make sure to check those out and like and follow us on your social media app of choice. We also have our Discord server, which if you're not part of our Patreon, you can join that and get access to our Discord server. If you think we're slightly unhinged, you should check out what we have there. Emily's Smut Corner is particularly a interesting place to go see what's going on. And Christopher has a section talking about balls. I'll let you figure out what he has going on in that section. So make sure to comment, like, follow us on all the social medias. If you could give us a review on Apple, we would definitely appreciate that, as long as it's 5 stars. If you're going to hate Jessi, we don't care, as long as you give us 5 stars to do it. And if you do, we will start our own version of mean tweets and have Jessi read your review back to you.
Shit will.
Because we know some of you get off on that.
I will smile
in the comments
while I read your mean shit that you talk about me. Just don't call me a twit because I might find you.
That was a fun review.
Fuck that guy or girl. It was probably a girl, honestly.
So I have been Blake, and with me has been
Chris,
Emily,
Prentice,
Mike,
Jessi,
and Christopher.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respected copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Cisco has returned to us. He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Welcome back to Visiting with the Prophets. For those of you who have not watched past Blood Oath and don't want to hear spoilers, this is probably not the portion of the show for you, and you should go ahead and jump back through that wormhole and go join our newbies on the other side. So, we actually had some decent questions and predictions. Emily, what do we got?
Okay, we're going to start with the easy to answer question. Do we get a girl fight?
No.
Sadly, no.
If there had, Scott, we would have lost it a long time ago.
Look, he'd be popping back in just for that conversation.
Just for that episode, yes.
There's no holodeck sparring. Am I thinking of a different show? I thought there was. I thought they did like do stuff together later.
They did with the Maid Marian, and there was a Robin Hood where they have the outfits on.
Yeah, they were in some medieval thing, because that's when they first meet Worf as they come out of the holodeck with Kira saying she looks stupid, and Kira and Dax go all of a sudden really attracted to a Klingon.
I can't remember if that. Okay, well maybe I'm confusing that, or I'm confusing TNG when the ladies all did their holodeck yoga and together, but. I thought
Deanna
something...
Troy and Dr. Crusher and their little leotards doing all those stretches.
Yeah, that's.
I can't remember, but I think there might be a scene with Intendant Kira and Ezri Dax.
When we get the crossover, there might be a little bit different situation happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, are we talking about
Um,
girl fights in general, or are we talking about between Dax or somebody else? 'Cause I was going to say the best girl fight was on Enterprise between T'Pol and what's her name?
Oh, Hoshi.
And Hoshi. That was a great episode.
For more than that reason, or
I mean, one, it was a well-written episode, but also, listen, I mean, the outfits were amazing. No reason to have midriffs in a combative empire, but it works. Fashionably, I guess it works. You wear midriffs, and everything is showing. So it was a great...
doesn't restrict your movement. And that's
There you go. That's a restricted movie. You have to be nimble so you can stab somebody. You know?
I remember several times Scott commented about how much he disliked Enterprise until he got to In a Mirror Darkly.
I wonder why.
And then all of a sudden that show wasn't that bad.
On second thought. Yeah. All right. Next question. Does this episode affect how the crew treats Jadzia? And no.
Nope, that part gets lost.
Not at all.
Which I'm kind of glad they let it go. But Christopher, we get good questions from him. Will we see Curzon more?
Sort of.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not just Curzon. We're going to get to see all of Dax's prior hosts because they've got that one episode where she does the ritual that brings the host out, but it's also that episode around where they have the forgotten host.
Mm-hmm.
And that they'll get into with the host that shouldn't have been because he murdered someone. So they're going to get into that, which that'll resurface also in season 7 with Ezri when they are hunting the killer, and she channels that particular Dax.
Yeah.
So I don't. You stopped me earlier, but I mean, we see Curzon in an episode of Lower Decks, in animated form. But I didn't think there was anything necessarily spoilery about that.
I thought you were going to go to the one where she invoked the prior host and Odo embodied Curzon. I thought you were there.
No,
that's where I got nervous.
Strictly thinking about Lower Decks, but
Lower Decks I wouldn't have cared about. No, I thought you were going for that one where Odo becomes Curzon.
Gotcha.
And then Christopher's other question, will Dax's past matter more as we go? Yes.
Yep. Very much so.
From multiple hosts.
Yeah.
Well, and we're going to have that episode too, and I can't wait till I cannot remember the name of it, but it's the one where another one of Dax's prior relationships shows up as a scientist.
Yep.
And they have the same-sex kiss.
Mm-hmm.
That actually got that episode blacklisted in parts of the country at the time.
Yeah. What? Is that next season?
Yeah, it's because they're on the Defiant, so it's got to be after they get the Defiant.
Okay, so episode 4, season 3 is Equilibrium, when Bashir takes Jadzia back to the Trill homeworld because of the Forgotten Host.
It is.
Now, was this the first same-sex kiss on television? Was it?
It's Facet's end of season 3.
Okay.
Or no, that's not it. That's the one where she goes through the ceremony. So that's not it.
Yeah, and I don't think it was the first ever on television.
No, it wasn't the first ever.
Because that was like Roseanne,
it's season 4 rejoined. That's one. But yeah, it was not the first one on TV. But no, it was still in that '90s phase where them having that there were issues with that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, wow, I didn't realize that was all the way in season 4.
I thought some other things about this episode that were kind of interesting. Remind me here, because I'm surprised we didn't talk about this in greater depth, but only one of the 3 Klingons died in this, right? It was Koloth?
2.
2 did? I thought Kor survived
Kang
as well.
also died.
Oh, Kang also died, really?
He died after he killed the albino.
So, remind me then, because we see Kang appears in Voyager. And I don't remember what capacity, but I saw
it was a flashback during the anniversary episode where they're on the Excelsior during the events of Star Trek VI.
Okay.
So he appears on that because the Excelsior encounters a Klingon ship, so Kang's on that one.
Okay. But it's interesting, but I wondered if he held the distinction of being the same character in the most different Star Trek series, but that's probably definitely not true at this point with all the new stuff like Picard.
Yeah, so Michael and Sarah will be back as Kang in the Voyager episode Flashback, and then we will see Kor again because Kor survived. So Kor comes back in a couple episodes, one in season 4, one in season 7.
That's right, and I think one of the actors returns in a different role and in a later season as well.
That's also Michael and Sarah again is in the Muse.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
He's the
Jen
husband of
Linder.
Luxwana.
Yeah. Yep. So and some other things I usually dive into this during the show, but we were having good discussion and I didn't want to sidetrack us too hard. But a couple of these guys at least have some pretty interesting other IMDb credits that I thought was worth pointing out. John Colicos played Kor in this episode, was also Count Baltar in the original Battlestar Galactica series, which I did not realize. And then I also thought it was fun because I'm an animation nerd that he is the voice of Apocalypse in the original X-Men 1995 cartoon series. So that was a good one. And I didn't know this because I usually save my IMDbing until after I watched the episode. But the minute Kang popped on the screen and started talking, I went, holy shit, that is Dr. Freeze or Mr. Freeze from Batman the Animated Series.
Wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
And it's not just Batman the Animated Series, because you know how DC likes to, like, the DC animated stuff is the exact opposite of the DC live action cinematic universe. It's all high quality. It's all very consistent. There's a ton of consistency. So he plays Victor Freeze in lots of different animated Batman projects over the years.
He was in Babylon 5.
And he was in Babylon 5. That's right. I could
Elric,
not.
Geometry of Shadows.
Yeah.
I could not place who that character was in that episode.
Oh, Jesus. That's why I'm like, who the fuck is this man? Why do I know this voice? He was a technomage.
Yep.
He was the
technomage. Okay. That makes absolute sense now that you say that. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Now I feel better. We're good.
Yep. And then I guess lastly, the other one that jumped out at me, because again, these were all TOS or era characters, which I didn't know until going through IMDb this time. But the last one was William Campbell. Not only played Koloth in The Trouble with Tribbles, but he was also Trelane in the TOS episode. And I have not seen the latest season of Strange New Worlds yet, but I know Trelane or some character similar to him appears again, played by Rice Darby. So I'm excited to dive into that sooner rather than later.
Years of canon in that one too.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think what's going to be interesting is when we get to Trial and Tribble Actions with DS9, where they go back in time and they take place in the events of Trouble with Tribbles. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they think when they see young William Campbell as the original series style Klingon.
Yes.
What? Wait a minute, huh?
Oh,
Is it? I gotta ask, is it Tribble Actions or Tribulations?
Yeah, those tribulations.
I always thought it was Tribulations, and we're gonna get hate mail if we don't correct ourselves. So I'm just looking.
Hey, as long as they leave a 5-star review when they correct the title of
the leave us 5 stars when you correct us.
Season 5, episode 6. Yeah, season 5, episode 6, Trial and Tribulations.
Okay, Trial and Tribulations. There we go.
But anyway, good stuff. These were great actors with pretty storied Hollywood careers already, then I totally geeked out about some of the animation things that connected the dots. Like, I didn't watch Cannonball back in the day, so I didn't know William Campbell from that. But like some of these other guys, I was like, I know who Mr. Freeze is. I know who and Saban is from X-Men. Like, and even Baltar. I used to watch the Battlestar reruns on TV. So,
and I was a fan of Batman the Animated Series, so I was right there with you on that. That's
absolutely. It's still one of the greatest animated series ever.
Prentice,
without
do you have
question.
thoughts on Batman the Animated Series?
Listen, I loved it. When it came on back in the 90s, one of my favorite series. I didn't watch any of the movies, anything that came after, but it was high quality animation. And the backstory about Mr. Freeze, I was hoping at that time would have influenced the third Batman movie, but we see how that went.
Yeah, no, we sure did.
Yeah. Batman Returns, I think, are 2 great movies.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you get Joel Schumacher. And he basically made the live-action version of the SNL's ambiguously gay duo. Even the Batmobile at one point looked like a fucking dick on wheels.
It did.
Which is to say that even though the Michael Keaton Batman movies, I agree, they were fantastic. They also were a distinctly different flavor from a lot of, like, Batman is all over the place throughout its whole history. It's crazy.
Did you ever read the treatment for the third movie that what's his name wanted to write? The director of the first 2 movies?
Oh, Tim Burton?
Yeah, Tim
Burton. Tim Burton had a great treatment for the third Batman movie. Would have been more in line with the animated series treatment of Mr. Freeze and the actors he wanted to play. It would have been an amazing movie.
I will have to look that
That's
up because
phenomenal.
I feel like I've probably seen tidbits of it over the years, but I don't remember. So I'll have to go look that up and
I actually agree with Prentice on that. That would have been a phenomenal movie.
then feel sad that it didn't happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, since we've ventured into Batman, I think that kind of wraps us up on Blood Oath. Anything else out there?
I was surprised nobody asked if anybody, the remaining Cleon, is he going to come back? I was surprised no one asked if Core is going to come back in later episodes.
It's true, and it's like it's like on one hand I keep saying this because in in Babylon 5 when we did our podcast, it was like every character of the week the guys were like, "Oh, is he gonna come back later?" Like, no, they're never gonna come back, guys. And like I feel like they finally learned that. But then we got the question about is everybody gonna treat Jadzia differently now? Like, no.
I'm wondering if they assumed Core died because he was in.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because the other two died, and I mean, you could tell going into the fight that none of them expected to actually live through it. And since he was injured and hobbling, they may have he died. So
well, and Christopher did ask if the Klingons would be coming back. He didn't ask specifically about Core, but yes, we will be getting a lot more Klingons in this show.
And I'm so excited. I love the Klingons. God, I love it's a problem.
And they're so much
Everybody needs
better.
that one problematic relationship, Emily.
They're so much better in DS9 than they are in any of the other shows.
Yeah,
Like,
they are. Yeah. I think for like world building and kind of understand what's going on within the quadrant as things progress, understand better.
well, and
really
I
helps.
almost I stopped myself because I almost said something that alluded to the House of Quark and the fact that in Klingon society, like they will bring outsiders, outside non-Klingons into like the very foundations of their societal structure. So that's where I thought it was kind of in the interesting discussion about Jadzia and what is and what isn't legal according to who. And like I kind of wanted to say like, well, she might be effectively a member of Kang's family for all we know, and this kind of stuff. But I don't want to spoil anything for him because
even
it's gonna be so fun to watch Jessi explode during House of Quark.
Oh yeah, but like even Picard in his relationship with the Klingons, iffy at first, but eventually he pulled some shit and they let him do it.
Yeah. I want to say that Core also had the most badass exit of a character in Star Trek ever. That final episode was well done. I can't wait to get to that. That's years away from now, but I love how they wrote that character out. They gave him some dignity, and he went out in a badass way.
Yeah, he was my favorite Klingon this episode, but I think we got better understanding of him because he was pretty freaking honest about the shit that was going on in his life. He was like, I am not the person to be until he was drinking because it bugged him. And I was like, wow, dude, like that's kind of dark, but I get it.
I was going to say that too, is there were a couple of different pieces of dialogue in this that we talked about being very like deep and kind of emotionally impactful. And we focused on Cisco and we focused on Kira. And to me, there was a third one that we would be remiss not to mention, and that was that talk between Jadzia and Core at the bar.
At the bar.
And him coming, like basically laying out that he has, in an unhealthy way, come to terms with the fact that he is not the man that he used to be because he's old, and he's lost that step. And I feel like it's sadly very relatable in some ways to probably all of us, probably more so those of us that were, like, I've never been an athlete or anything, but I can only imagine that they have a somewhat different experience with that kind of stuff. Yeah. So,
and it was interesting that he was a history teacher because the students looked like they may have been a little old for class time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's graduate level stuff. I don't know.
More likely the graduate, yes.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps us up on this one. As we mentioned, we'll be back next week with the Maquis Part 1 and 2. Curious to see what our newbies' thoughts are on that one. And we will keep on going as we get through the season. And look forward to seeing you then. Again, check out all our social links below and leave us those reviews. I am Blake, and with me has been
Emily,
Prentice,
and Mike.